All right, all right. I think we're live. Let me share this real quick. I'm actually really excited about this. If anybody knows anything about me, you know that Teeya Skipper is one of my favorite artists ever. I met her back when we were in undergrad. Well, she was an undergrad. I had actually already graduated. But I just fell in love with Teeya, and I really feel like her story today. Like you guys are really, really, really gonna love her. So this is just awesome, man. Let me share it real quick to my page. All right, so we're all good. I'm gonna bring her on in just a second. Boom. So I got my page on my page and it's on my other page as well. So you guys can all see it. And we will go ahead and get her started in just a second. Boom. So I got my page on my page and it's on my. Wait just a few minutes. I want somebody in the room before I bring her up on here. All right, we got two people, so let's go ahead. Teeya!
Hey!
What's up, Teeya?
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Teeya, so you are one of my favorite artists. I don't know if you know that.
No, I didn't. So when you said I was like, oh.
Listen, I have a high criteria for artists. I will just let you know.
I
Like,
see.
I require somebody with a lot of artistry and a lot of talent. And listen, you check every box on there. All right. And you always have. I can talk about the first day I met you. It was a grand opening for an event at Central State, and I was videotaping it for Jarrell Duran. And I had seen you before, but I hadn't interacted with you. I just saw you in passing.
Okay.
And then you got on the stage and you got the mic and you sang this song. I don't know if it's Crazy Over You or I Got the Blues. Um,
I wrote that. Yeah.
I know every word of that song. And immediately, like you were on that stage, and I turned around, I was like, "Who is that?" I kept going to Jarrell, like, "Jarrell, who is this?" He was like, "That's Teeya." I was like, "No, no, 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 no. I've never met this girl. Like, you got to introduce me to her. I got to know her." And ever since then, you have been my all-time favorite artist. I am just in love with it. All right.
I don't know why I feel like we met sooner than that.
We we knew each other. Like I knew who you were,
Okay.
but we had never interacted. Like it was more like a high and by, and we kept moving.
Yeah. Like,
After that is when I was like, I knew your name. I was like, oh my god, I'm obsessed with Teeya and her music. Like everything you had, I was there. Like I need to see and be a part of Teeya.
oh, thank you. Wow. Yeah, I remember that. That was the originals concert for me first.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember anybody else there, but I know that Teeya touched that stage, and it's crazy because I have the recording. I can't tell you who else is on that video.
Listen, I've been trying to. Matter of fact, I think you posted the video.
Mm-hmm.
Do you listen? Thank God for you because I had lost the audio for that. I was trying to teach somebody else the song, couldn't find it, child. And someone was like, I think it's on YouTube. And I typed it out, I was like, it is on YouTube.
Yep.
I look so young. Could I go back and look at that? I'd be like, ooh. But anyway. Oh, good
All
memory.
right. So deep conversation, man. When you hit me up about this, I was kind of like, oh my God, like I don't know if I'm ready to do this. And you hit me with the topic. I'm not okay. And I was just like, oh my God, I might cry. I don't know what to do. I'm scared. I'm nervous. My stomach starts hurting.
I'm nervous.
Deep, deep, deep. All right. So I'm going to give you a chance just to explain the title. I'm not okay, what it means, where it comes from.
Okay. So it came from like sitting down and working on ideas and stuff that I had coming up and just trying to push through feelings I was feeling. Like I don't have time for this feeling. I got a show coming up, I got this coming up, I gotta prepare for this. And I kept just feeling so much resistance. Like it just felt like it was getting harder and harder to do things that was once very, very simple. And I remember just sitting on the floor like, well, let me just take a break. And I sat on the floor, and as I sat still, it's like all these emotions came up. And I was like, well, let me do something productive, like running from my feelings, not knowing I was running from my feelings. And ended up doing a Instagram live trying to encourage other people. And child, the moment I got on there, I just started bawling my eyes out. And I was like, oh my God, I'm on here trying to help other people, but really it's me. Like, I'm not okay. I need to say how I feel. I need to talk about my shit. I need to, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know if you can curse around here, but
Go ahead. You good?
um, I'm not the teacher, the helper in this point. Like, I need an ear from me for my stuff. So that's where it came from. Like, oh shoot, when you really just sit still and be like, heck, I don't think I healed right from that. You know what I'm saying? No, real talk. Like,
Not
ooh,
for real.
I don't think they heal right. You know, it's easy to look at your foot and see that, like, ooh, they may have to reset that bone. But you don't think about that, like, when you think about relationships and stuff. And then you try to have new friendships or new relationships, and you realize you're not as open as you used to be. And
Yeah.
it's like, ooh, I don't know if I heal right. So that's long story short. That's where it came from.
Yeah, yeah. No, when you were talking to me, I said the same thing. Because I don't think many people even knew that I was going through depression and how long I was going through it, and what it looked like. And I think sometimes, we go around faking that we're okay. And I remember Robin Rucker. She used to work at Central State with me. Yeah,
Yes.
I work with her now, but she came up to me one day, and for me, it was I'm fine. And she was like, Brandon, she was like, how are you doing? I was like, I'm fine. And she was like, Brandon, stop lying right now.
Period.
You're not fine. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, nope, I'm okay. I'm doing fine. I'm good. She was like, Brandon, one day you're going to stop lying to me. She said, when you're ready to talk, just talk to me. And she kept it moving. But I just remember that because I was not. That made me just think about it like, am I fine?
Yeah.
Am I okay? And
Yeah.
I wasn't. That was the beginning, though. I hadn't really went into depression and realizing that I was going into depression at that point. It was just
Mm-hmm.
something at the very beginning. But it was a long road, like a long, long road.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what do you think like got you there? Like what's some of the story behind that?
Got me there like to where I could say like, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
Let me make sure I go like, um, oof, not knowing how to process emotions, like not knowing how to what to do with my feelings. You know what I'm saying, and what I feel. And so, side note and shameless plug. So I have these sessions that I'm doing now. It's called artist therapy, and it's the first one is May 11th. It's gonna be so dope. But I have two artists coming in. They're gonna be facilitating and telling their stories. And one of the key things that I said was I think that I knew how to process a payment before I knew how to process my emotions.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what got me to sitting and saying I'm not okay because the tools I was using to keep moving forward, it worked all the way up until now. You know what I'm saying? Like my go tos don't work no more in terms of getting over and getting quote unquote through stuff. It stopped working, and I couldn't push down the sadness anymore. I was sad, and I was very very unfulfilled, and I think I had been ignoring it for so long that now I couldn't. It was everywhere I looked. If I slowed down, I could feel it and I could hear it, and so I was trying to stay busy so that I couldn't hear that because I didn't know what to do with hearing it. Like, okay, so you sad, so what do I do with that? You know?
Yeah.
So I didn't know, so I just kept doing what I knew to do was to keep driving, keep being ambitious, keep moving, but that definitely wasn't the answer, child.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So for me, it's similar thing. I don't think I know nobody knows this. Like I started going to the hospital. Like I started having panic attacks because of my depression. And I was scared to tell people. Like, it's scary telling people like something's wrong with you. Like you're
Yeah.
not all the way there. And so like the first time I went, somebody actually just stopped and was like, "Are you okay? Something looks wrong." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And I walked away and came back like, no, somebody needs to call the emergency. Like I feel like I'm having a heart attack right now.
Listen.
And it just came out of the blue. Like I was just standing there, and all of a sudden I
Yeah.
was like, something not right. And then from
Yeah.
there it just kept happening, and I kept having to go back and forth. And the doctor was like, "You need to get this together because it looks like a heart attack, but it's really just your anxiety." But mine came from rejection. That was the
Ooh,
number one thing with me.
okay.
That I just went through. I think I set my life up to protect myself from rejection. You know,
Me too. Yeah.
I had built my life around
Wait,
not
let me
getting too
my
close.
tissue. Cause
Go ahead.
it's go ahead. I need tissue. Cause
I had built my life up around not being rejected, and so I didn't let people get too close to me. I didn't get too involved in certain things. I didn't put myself out there for people to see me. I made sure that I stayed really close knit to myself, and didn't share anything with anybody because I built it so that I wouldn't be rejected. And then it came to a point where I I started being rejected and I didn't know how to handle it. And so as people rejected me, and then another situation, I felt rejected. In another situation, I got rejected. I felt like nobody wanted me. Like, okay, I'm here, but nobody wants me on this earth, right? And
Oof.
so, yeah, no, this is real. We're gonna be true today. So
Yeah, that's how I got the sit child.
we're gonna be real. So that, I mean, that was me. I learned through this process that I can't handle rejection like that, or I need to learn how to handle rejection better. And that led me to the point where I just realized, like, something's not right. Something's not right. I'm laying on the floor by myself every night, and so I
What?
kind of need to figure out.
So
Yeah.
was it like a certain area of rejection? Like was it in relationships? Was it a certain area of rejection that really made you clam up like that?
Oh no. So it was all areas. So career wise, I felt like I wasn't advancing enough. I wasn't going fast enough. Everybody else was going further than me. And I
Mm-hmm.
was doing great work.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I do spectacular in the things that I do,
Yeah, you do.
but
You
I
do.
was in a circle of people who I just felt like everybody's moving on with their lives and doing great things. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm still here struggling, right? Financially, I felt money wasn't there. Friendships, I had friends who I felt like rejected me. Like all of a sudden, they moved on with their lives and forgot about me really,
Mm-hmm.
really quickly. Um, there were things that I was trying to do in life that I felt like doors were being just shut. And so it kind of just left me like, I don't know where to go with this, and I'm just extremely unhappy with where I am. And for me, I let it go on too long. Like I had that mask on, but I just kept going deeper and deeper, telling people, I'm okay. Not just telling people, but telling myself that
Yeah.
I'm okay. And it just got to a point where it was just like, listen, Brandon, something not right. So
Yeah.
get
And
off the
you're not
floor.
okay. Yeah. No, that's real. And for me, oh, I would say I don't even know where to start. Um, I would say for me it was rejection too. And rejection in many areas. Like as a female, I was always the bigger one. I was always a chubby kid. I was 9 pounds 6 ounces when I was born, child. So I came out fluffy. So I was always a bigger kid. I had slow beginnings, you know what I'm saying? So whereas everyone else was coming out and they was cute and they were special, I felt very regular.
Yeah,
In some cases less than that because I'm a girl, I'm fat, and I'm not cute. And I experienced a lot of rejection with that because this is when, like, yeah, everybody's being body positive and shit now, but before, like, being fat, like, that's the ultimate form of shame, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And if somebody did like you, they didn't show it when everyone else was around. They wanted to talk to you, or they'll try to mess with you when you by yourself. So that's another layer of shame, that I'm not good enough to be loved or liked openly, only behind closed doors. And so I experienced that then, and then just being different. Like, I've always been kind of like beyond my years in a sense, and so I didn't really fit in. You know what I'm saying? So when you don't fit in and you trying to, it hurts even more, you know. And I've been in scenarios too where I would go out with my friends, with my girlfriends, and, like, say for instance we went to the mall and guys would come up and all the guys would talk to everybody but me. Like, I could still feel the emotion from that because I felt embarrassed. I felt like I wanted to go run to the nearest, like, hole in the wall, because you don't even have to say you're not choosing me. You just have to not choose me. And I feel like I felt ugly. I felt all those things, you know. And then of course, you know, when you get into it with guys, right? Or say for instance, there's a girl walking down the street and this guy sitting on the porch. That's like a girl's biggest fear, especially if you're not perfect. You know what I'm saying? Like guys will yell out things like you fat or you ugly, or they'll try to talk to you if you don't want to talk. You don't want to talk to them, then they're gonna yell out all the things you scared to hear, that you fat, you ugly, all of that. So experience that rejection, and I think that I just grew up not knowing where I fit, like where I belong, where do I, like why am I here? You know what I'm saying? And didn't have the good. I didn't have the greatest. How do I say this? Like I felt like I always had what I need, but I always got the low end of it, you
Yeah,
know. And I watched other people get the best, and we learned a lot of things by watching how things work. Nobody has to tell you don't deserve the best. You just have to live a life where no one ever offers you that. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I experienced that, and always had a deep sadness. Was always just sad and longing for friendships and love, always for connection. But I didn't know how to connect because I didn't even feel comfortable in my own body. So even if I had the opportunity to make a friend, I was nervous. You know, I was scared. And then fast forward into college, I thank God for my vocal coach, which was Professor Hoffman. She was a godsend. Everything at Central State was a godsend for me. But like he literally knew who to put me with because she was starting to see certain patterns that she identified with, and she would say like, you know, I don't want to be, offensive, but uh she was like, have you ever thought about, taking medication? Or and I was like, no, I'm not taking meds, because what was happening was I could go a certain amount of time where I would be good, I'll be driven, I'm doing all my work, I'm in the gym working out, I'm showing up, and then it seemed like out of nowhere all my energy is gone. I'm sad. I don't want to be around nobody, and I would stay in my room for days. Like I would go to the speedway, get all the snacks and food that I needed. Listen, and and not come out of my room. And what I was doing was I had came up with like this formula where I would get my homework in enough time or in advance so that even though I was out, I could just take that time to be by myself and make sure I was still on track academically. And she was like, you're depressed and you either need to do meds or you need to do counseling. And so I was like, I don't want to go to counseling because my mama tried to make me go to counseling when I was younger, and it was a joke. I was like, why am I here? But I'm so glad she referred me to somebody at Central State, and that lady was the best thing that ever freaking happened to me. And she was showing me a lot of reasons why I was depressed, and a lot of reasons was because of having a perfectionistic mindset and being so judgmental. But I was so judgmental against myself. I was so hard on myself. I was so, it's got to be like this, because I was afraid that I felt like the only way I could have what I want is if I was enough. And enough meant without flaw. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I kind of came up with this, and many people do, but you come up with this mindset that, oh, I'm rejected because I'm not enough. I'm not loved because something's wrong, so let me fix myself. And so, whoo, so I had got in this long standing pattern of trying to fix myself. I feel like that's how I got into self development, because I was trying to figure out what about me made it hard to love me, or what about me made me so easily disposable.
yeah,
And so I didn't know that I was taking it out on myself. It's like I was being mean to myself, because it's almost like I was saying it's your fault that people don't love you. You know what I'm saying? It's your fault that people don't want you, or you don't have that. So you got to do this, and you got to be on this, and you got to. And my counselor was like, "Teeya, you're not gonna make it living that way, living in that black and white, living in that all or nothing mentality." She was like, "You're not even giving yourself credit for what you have done and who you actually are." And I wasn't doing that because I didn't feel like what I had done and who I was enough. And she was saying, if you keep setting these bizarre and extreme standards for yourself, you keep accomplishing it, and you still feel like you're not enough, you're never gonna feel like you're enough. And I just sat on her couch and boohoo because I knew it was true, but I was just trying to figure out the way to get the very thing everyone wants and needs, which is love and belonging. And I didn't know, it didn't come to me naturally. So I feel like it's something I gotta do to get it. And so that's why I'm always on 10 and always anxious because I gotta prove, I gotta show my value so that you won't leave or that you won't throw me away, or so that if I show you my value enough, when you eventually see the stuff I'm not good at, hopefully my value is higher than my flaws,
Yeah,
and I still get to stay, you
that's so.
know.
It's so crazy. Don't cry because you're gonna make me cry, and I can't cry.
Dude, I didn't know that thing was gonna come up, child, but it said, "Ooh, I hit a landmine."
So it's so crazy how similar it was. So it was at Central State. I had already graduated though, but it was somebody who came up to me and told me, like, they didn't directly tell me. They told somebody else who they thought could talk to me. And that person came and was like, "Hey, Rand, what's going on with you?" I was like, "I'm fine." They were like, "Well, this person seems to think that you are going through depression." And I was like, "No, I'm good. Like, I ain't depressed. I'm real good. Like, you see me
Yeah.
smiling, I'm happy." They were like, "Okay, you know." And then a student came up to me because I started gaining weight really quickly. And a student came up to me and was like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "Nothing." He was like, "Well, would you mind working out with me?" And I was like, "Like, why? Why
Right.
not work? What do
Who
you know?
who sent you? Right. You want to
Um, what do you want?" And I was like, no, like, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. But they were like, "Okay, I know something's going on with you.
know?
Something's not right. I can see, like, something's changed. You refuse to let us come to your house. You're not talking as much. Like, I know you're faking it. Like, I can
Isolated.
tell." Yeah, that was it. I definitely push people away because I used to, like, have people at my house all the time. My house was full of people, and then for a good like 5 years, nobody. Like, it was like, don't anybody come to my house because I don't want you to see the way I'm living. Like, I don't want you to know that when I go home, I sit in a circle by myself and cry. Like, I don't want you to see that. And
Yeah.
so you gonna make me cry. So it was just difficult to have that conversation with people and to admit, like, something's not right. And it took years. Like, I'm saying, when Robert Rucker talked to me, that was like 6, 7 years ago. And
Mm,
I hadn't even realized that I was going through depression or that something was wrong. I didn't realize that till a good 5 years later
yeah.
that something's not right. And then at that point, I'm at my lowest. I had stopped calling people. Like, I knew how to fake it. I knew how to manipulate people to know that I'm doing okay. So I knew who to call. I knew when my phone rang from this person, answer it. My phone rings from this person, I can just text them. My phone rings from this person, I don't even have to respond because you don't really care that much.
Yeah.
And so I knew how to go about my day smiling and laughing and then go home and just be depressed. And then I was having the anxiety attack. So I was going to the hospital at like 11 or 12. If you go to the hospital and you have something, you say your heart, they run all the tests on you. So I was getting out at 4 in the morning and going to work and smiling and saying, "Hey, I'm good. Like, what's up, you guys? I'm here to work. I know I'm 30 minutes late, but I'm good." And nobody's knowing. I had talked to a friend and told her, like, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know because I'm scared a little bit about the hospital that I do have anxiety attacks. I'm going." She's like, "Brandon, why aren't you telling somebody? Like, why haven't you told us or you're calling us?" And I was like, "Usually I just lay on the floor by myself and wait it out. And if it gets too bad, I go in. But I just want to make sure that somebody knows that, I'm at the hospital at night. So just in case something happens." And she was just perplexed. Like, "I've known you for so long and I've never known that this is going on with you or that you're having these problems." And I was living in an apartment, no furniture, had no plans on buying furniture, didn't want to buy a bed, didn't want to buy a car, didn't want to buy a couch. Um, and I was just miserable at home and smiling in public, like,
Mm,
putting on that mask in public for people to see. And then going around, like, I cut off so many people because I just didn't want to talk about it. And I was scared to face people who I knew would ask. And so those people who I could, like my best friend, I knew to put on for her as much as I could. Like,
yeah.
if I see her, to put on. to the best I can do because I know she can see through me. So let's go. And even students definitely saw through what I was going through, but I was able to fake it with them. Like, no, 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 no. All right, you feel like I'm something's wrong? Let's kick it this weekend. Let's go out. Let's hang out, and I'm gonna show you how I'm doing good. I'm gonna fake this and show
Mm.
you that I'm great. But I wasn't great. I definitely wasn't great.
Whew.
It's a lot.
It is. Yeah. I and to speak to what you originally said, you really took the words out of my mouth. Like I grew up with so much experience with rejection that I grew up building my life to where I did not have to face that.
Yeah,
And um and that's where I'm not okay comes from. It's saying, hey, all the tools and stuff you use to protect yourself up until this point, it got you here, but it's they no longer work. You have to live the rest of this journey. You got to show up as Teeya. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, if you're a vessel has an entry point, and if you're blocking the entry so that certain things can't come in, you're still blocking an entry point for what you need. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And so what happens is no one will know and no one can hurt you, but no one will know and no one can help you.
yeah,
And it's like, dang, you know what I'm saying? Like we love to say life ain't fair, but God is, and He sets things up to where it's a two-way street. You know what I'm saying? Okay, you don't want to let people in, well, no one will come in and no one can leave out. So here it is. I'm trying to protect myself, but I'm starving to live. I'm starving to love. I'm starving to still have the things that I didn't have when I was younger and that I don't know how to have. But I, at the same time, don't want to show that vulnerability um, because I already feel weak. Even if that's not how people perceive me, I already feel vulnerable. That I'm even dealing with it, and I've had the anxiety attacks too. And I want to say in 2018, they got really bad. They got so bad. So I had anxiety attacks when I was younger. Um, I want to say in my adult life, I hadn't had any until 2018, and that was the that was the beginning of me starting to pay attention to my life, saying, "Hey, this is not fucking working. It's getting worse." You feel what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like the anxiety is getting worse. And what was happening was I had a lot of attacks against my heart, meaning I had a lot of things that I really wanted to happen not happen. And it broke my heart. So, I had this happening business wise, that fell through. I had this going relationship wise, that fell through. I had close friendships that had to end, that fell through. And all of that was hidden here, violent. You know what I'm saying? That's violent energy to your heart. And one day I was driving home and my shit went like this. Like, I mean, I couldn't even, my body wouldn't listen to me. I was trying to tell myself, calm down. I was trying to tell myself, breathe. But my body wasn't listening. And I was like, oh my God. And I had to literally pull over. And I felt like I was breathing through a straw. That's
yeah,
how tight my chest was. And I was like, Lord, I know why this is. You know what I'm saying? I know why I'm in this space because of how my life has been built because of the constant trauma. Like I've had a lot of successes, but I've had a lot of trauma too that I didn't know how to deal with. And when you keep having trauma in the same area, it gets worse. So I know about those them panic attacks, child. I really do. And the last thing I would say too is when I started counseling, excuse me, when I started counseling, well, first I was scared too to admit that I was struggling with depression. I already knew I was, but I didn't want it to be diagnosed as that because one, I didn't want to be on medication, and two, I didn't want people to look at me like something was wrong with me. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want them to treat me like, oh, she depressed. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Because people. people are listening to them and then they make light and jokes. You know what I'm saying? Talk about it. So I didn't want to be looked at like I didn't have all my screws. I do have all my screws. I'm just sad. You know what I'm saying? Severely sad. And at first I thought like I was just depressed, like it was passed down because it was running my family too. But when I had a counselor, this is why it's great to have somebody to talk to. It lets you know, to me, it lets you know that you're not just you don't just have a chemical imbalance. It's letting you know that you have deep sadness because there is something that you needed that you did not get or that you don't know how to receive. Um, that there may have been things that have happened to you traumatically that you didn't deal with or didn't know how to deal with, and you're sad. And this sadness needs your attention, but you don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And so, thank God for her, she made me feel like, okay, who, I'm not crazy, you know what I'm saying? Or who, I'm still normal. Okay, cool, cool, cool. I just gotta figure out how to not feel unworthy. And I feel like that was the bottom of it too. Like feeling unworthy, wanting to engage with people, wanting to have these relationships, but almost a debilitating fear of them rejecting me or acting like they like me or are receiving me, but they're really not. So yeah.
Yeah. So once I realized that I was depressed and that something needed to happen, unfortunately, and I'm saying unfortunately because I don't want anybody to feel like this is the correct way to do this.
Hmm.
Like, if you know, please go get help. Please go talk
Yeah.
to somebody. But I didn't necessarily feel like I could at the time. Like I just felt once I realized it, I didn't want people to know that something wasn't right. So um, I like I don't want to get super spiritual, but I'm about to get spiritual. All right. So I had like started praying, and I
Yeah.
was like, "Listen, God, something's got to shake, something's got to change." And I had always felt as if God didn't bless me. Like I felt like God kept me, and I used to tell God that in my prayers, like,
Oh.
God, I thank you for keeping me and
Yeah.
making sure that I'm okay and alive. But I would really like to be blessed.
Yeah.
Like
You
I
feel
would
like,
like to
okay,
be like everybody else.
yeah, God, you're managing me. Thank you for the management.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that
That,
feeling.
that's exactly what it was. It was kind of like you when do I get that blessing? And my pastor had talked to me about this is so funny. My pastor had talked to me about Jacob in the Bible, and I had read that story and how he fought that angel um in the
Yeah.
wilderness. And so I went to God and I just said, like, God, I'm tired of being in this wilderness. I'm tired of being in this darkness. I'm tired of not being blessed. And so like I'm gonna sit in front of you until something shakes.
Period. Yeah.
Something has to happen. For oh shoot, look what you did. Look what you did. Um, something has to happen for me to get out of this mess. And so immediately things kind of started changing. But it was a slow process to get out of it because I
Yeah.
didn't want to tell anybody. And so I started writing stuff on the mirror. Like I went and bought a plaque that I still have in my bathroom that said, "You are enough."
Yeah.
Just so I could get up in the morning and see something and somebody say, "Brandon, you're okay." And then magically, like out of nowhere, every day I started getting phone calls. And I would get a phone call from a parent that would say, like, "Brandon, I love you. Thank you for taking care of my child." I would get a card in the mail that would come from a parent and say, "Hey, Brandon, here's $100. Thank you for what you've done." And so that blessed me. I would get a text and it would be from a student like, "Brandon, this is just random, but I just want to tell you I love you." He'd be like,
Yeah.
"Okay, thank you. You don't know that I needed that
Yeah.
because you don't know that I wasn't going to get up today and what I was
Woo.
going through. You don't know I spent all night on the floor, and so you
Yeah.
don't see that part." And so that was how I kind of got out of it. And then I started watching motivational videos and really trying to coach myself out. Like, Brandon, you can make it out of this. You got to change it. But it was hard. Like it was a fight
Yeah.
for me to have to get okay, to say
Yeah.
that I'm okay. And it was hard because I was still, even though my mentality changed, my situation didn't. And so
Right.
there were still people in my life who were still rejecting me. None of that went away. There were still friends who abandoned me. There were still job opportunities I wasn't getting. There were still financial issues. All of that was still happening. But I'm still fighting to say, like, okay, listen, let me look and say it's okay today. Like it's all right. I'm okay. We're good.
Yeah.
can handle this. I can manage this, and just taking it one day at a time. But it really was people who came into my life and really just started saying like, Brandon, you're good. Brandon, I love you. Brandon, you're gonna make it. And I know
Yeah.
that was God. Like I know because before nobody had really did that, but just randomly folks started saying like, listen, I love you, Brandon, out of the blue.
Listen, yeah, and it does save, and when you say like it takes time and you start to listen to motivation videos and stuff, that's how I got into like self development, like trying to fix myself, trying to access whatever that is and pull it up. You know what I'm saying? Like how do I be okay? You know what I'm saying? And one thing that I told you I was going to share that I hadn't shared was um my senior year at Central State, right?
Yeah,
So let me say this. So like we already said, we have built these lives to be guarded, to keep ourselves protected from rejection. And I had the guard to keep myself safe from that, and then I had a guard to protect myself because I'm a highly sensitive person, highly empathic, um, very sensitive. So it's like I don't know how to be that. So let me just do what I know to do: protect, guard, you know. And
yeah.
so I did that. While I was at Central State, I pretty much I pretty much just did what I was supposed to do. I did my work. I didn't have the college experience that a lot of people have. You know, they went to all the parties and stuff like that. Maybe my freshman year, I went to parties and stuff. My freshman semester, first semester. After that, it was straight books and stuff. And so I remember junior year going into senior year, it's time for people to apply to be, Mr. and Missy issue. And I had no thought of it. First of all, I had no thought. I was just like, oh, okay. And so I had went to this event, and I ran to Miss Byers and Jarrell, and Miss Byers was like, I normally I normally can tell who the next Mr. and Mrs. is gonna be. She's like, but I don't really see anyone. I don't really know who would be the next leader. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, wow, that's crazy. And somebody walked up and was like, Teeya. And I was like, what? No. I was like, no. And she was like, yes. I was like, girl, bye. No. Um, and so I left whatever that event was, and it just seemed like people kept coming up out of nowhere, like, you running for Miss CSU? I think you should. Like, we need something different. I think you. I'm like, where? Like, this is so weird to me. Like, where are people coming from this? Coming from with this? So people kept coming up to me asking me if I was going to run. Now, remember, we don't do rejection. So even if that was something I wanted,
Yeah.
I would have never even applied for it, right? So um so that was that. But people kept coming up to me, which was bumping up against my desire to help people and to please. You know what I'm saying? Still was a people pleaser. Even though I was guarded, I was still a people pleaser. I still wanted to help. I still wanted to encourage. I still wanted to inspire. And so I ended up applying for Miss Issue. And when I tell you that was the worst year and best experience that I needed in my life, when like I during campaign week, you could barely even find me. Like, and me and Chris were campaigning together, and they like, Tia, where you at? When I tell you I was so overwhelmed, I could like I was so overwhelmed. Like I didn't want no parts. I was trying to figure out how can I back out of this with nobody knowing
Yeah.
that I'm here. You know what I'm saying? Like, dig. It's like you can't be unknown. Everybody already knows who I am. You know what I'm saying? So Chris, Chris, he happy, he excited, he's leaning into the experience. I am pulling away, I'm running, I'm hiding. I was I can't even say scared. That's an understatement. I was paralyzed. I was paralyzed. And the reason why was because the things that I had feared were coming true. a lot of things that people were saying, um, that I wasn't good enough to be Miss CSU. Not because of credentials, because I had the credentials. They had to lower the application credentials so other people could apply. I I hit it the first time. Let's just put that out there. So, but people, right? But people were saying that I didn't look like Gabby, so they weren't going to vote for me. They were saying that I wasn't a good representative of the school. Don't never mind the fact of what I've already done, what I've already implemented. How's the first RA to have over 300 people at my event when I started my open mics there? Like, never mind the organizations that I started. Never mind the new programs that I brought to Central State. Never mind that. But people were saying I wasn't good enough because of what I looked like. And this was the same demon that I'm telling you about that made me fear rejection, because when I was younger, that's the same thing I heard, that I wasn't pretty enough, that I wasn't enough. And so when that came up, instead of me fighting it and saying, yes, I am, I didn't know how to fight it. And all I did was all I ever had done, which was just let the depression sink in. And I remember Miss E was my advisor at the time. I remember sitting in her suite, and I was just on the floor and I was just weeping. And she was like, Teeya, she was like, I don't recognize you. And I said, I don't understand. Why does it have to be about everything else than what it's supposed to be about? It should be about, can I lead? Do I meet the criteria? What are my goals and aims? Why is it not about that? Why is every conversation I keep hearing about the fact that I have tattoos? Why is it about the fact that I don't look like a queen? You know, like, and those things were so painful. And it wasn't just coming from students. It was
Yeah.
coming from staff too. You know what I mean? And I was so frustrated because I'm like, Miss E, I don't even want this for fame. Like, a lot of people are they want the fame of Miss Issue. Miss Issue can't give me anything I didn't have before this. Everybody already knew me before I applied. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I'm literally taking on a job. There's nothing this is giving me. You know what I'm saying? So I remember just sitting there crying, and every day I was hearing new things. Even people I thought were my friends, um, weren't didn't feel like I was a fit. You know what I'm saying? Weren't voting for me. I felt rejected because of that. I felt rejected by my own school. And I remember when it was time for us to do the pageant at the school, I was shaking so bad because I felt like everybody hated me. That's how it felt, because of all of the bad stuff I kept hearing. It felt like, oh, shoot. It felt like, it just felt like I was scared to go on stage. I thought people was gonna boo me. That's how that's how bad I felt. And so I remember sitting, everybody was in the dressing rooms getting ready, and I was sitting all the way upstairs in the back of Robeson. I was sitting all the way at the top. And Miss E was looking for me, and I could hear her asking everybody, like, y'all seen Teeya? And I was just telling God, like, God, I don't even know how I'm gonna go on stage. Because I feel like nobody likes me. You know, I feel like I'm not good enough. I feel like it doesn't matter what I've done. It doesn't matter how I've changed. It doesn't matter how I've grown. I feel like none of that is enough. And I'm scared to go out there because the ultimate rejection is them booing you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I just knew that was going to happen. Like, I was walking up on people overhearing them talking about me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I felt so paralyzed, and I know it was nothing but God. That literally, I wasn't even present. Like, some stuff I don't even remember it happened. People have to tell me, because I feel like I was gone. I feel like it was nothing but God's spirit that walked me out when they said number, contested number, da da da, Teeya Skipper. And to hear people cheer, I was so shocked because all I was hearing was the bad stuff. You know what I'm saying? Um, I didn't expect people to have love for me because I wasn't hearing that. And so I made it through the pageant, thank God. And then I become a CSU, okay, hoping, that it's gonna get better, and it doesn't. And I remember going to our I forgot the name of it, but whatever we go to the next day when they have this event in the ward center, whatever. It's like to commemorate Chris and I.
Yeah.
And I remember one of his mentors, she uh she was trying to say like, hey, if you need anyone, I would love to mentor you, but she was saying she was it was such in a judgmental way. She was like, I'm already Chris's mentor, so if you need any help, on how to dress and what to wear, and because I don't dope denim skinny jeans and a white and black striped blazer. Fly. What? Fly. Uh fly. But not dainty, right? Not dainty, not the whole dress, not the you know what I'm saying? And so here it is, she's extending me her hand while at the same time telling me I shouldn't be wearing this. And I was just like, okay. And so of course she got the no thank you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And most people do get the cold side when I feel rejected because that's how I protect myself. You know what I mean? And so that year, like I remember Miss Byers saying like the one who becomes queen is the one who needs it the most. And she was right. I needed to have the experience of rejection because that's the life I live. You know what I'm saying? I'm a public figure. Like people know me and I don't know them. People talk about me and I don't even know where these people are coming from. In a music industry. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to have tough skin for people to know you, period, because people listen, people will lie, people will do anything, child. And I didn't know that that was preparing me for my life, but it was really hard. It was really hard to still show up and still help and still be present amongst people who I know did not receive me or didn't feel like I was good enough for the position, even though I was good enough, but they didn't think I was good enough because of what I visually looked like. You know what I'm saying? And that's why my platform was Be You, because that's all I know how to do. I don't know how to do anything else. I don't have this prestigious. I'm not gonna tell y'all I'm gonna change laws at Central State, that I'm gonna meet with SGA every 3 days. I'm not doing that, and I know myself, so I didn't promise that. That's
Yeah.
not me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing that shit. Like I'm not. But what I can stand on is I know how to be myself because that's all I'm good at. But it was rough, man. Like it was really rough. And if I hadn't had Miss Craw, I thank God for her. She was my other advisor. I didn't even know that we would get as close as we did, Cassandra. I didn't know we would get as close as we did, but we did, and she taught me a lot, even in how to keep a straight face. You know what I'm saying? Amongst people don't care for you, because because she's very professional, very, what I'm saying. Her ducks is in a row, like, um, but she was there through a lot of stuff that I went through that wasn't fair. Jobs that I didn't get that I was supposed to get. And Chris was working. I was the one who didn't have a job. Like it was so many biased things that happened, and I was like, God, this is not fair. But it was preparing me for the life I was gonna live anyway. You know what I'm saying? That it comes with the cost and that you will be rejected. And what I feel like now I have to face is how to learn how to be okay with just knowing what it means when someone rejects you, that it's not a reflection of my value. You know what I mean? Like I know that logically, but when you feel rejected, it doesn't feel like that
Right here.
here.
Yeah.
It feels like there's something wrong with me. And and it's a battle because I want you to like me, so it's like, well, do I become what you want, or do I be myself? And keep getting your disdain. And so I felt like a lot of my life I've always had to choose between myself and the love of people. And I wanted their love, but I didn't want to abandon myself just to be loved by them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
totally. So that's man, that's a conversation because I was there for that.
yeah, it was tough. It was really, like, it was so tough. I It was a lot. I just remember saying to myself, like, why did I I didn't even want to be Miss CSU. Why did I even apply? And I had done it. I did it for people. You know what I'm saying? And I did it because I thought that I should have done it. Like I felt responsible. You know what I'm saying? Like if I am as a leader, I felt responsible. Honestly, I wouldn't want anybody in that position who didn't have the heart to do what the position's supposed to be about. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't control what anybody else does. I'm not there. But if I can be in a running and I know my heart and I know my intentions and I know theirs, I would feel uncomfortable to know I'm a leader and to let someone else take that position and they're not. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but it was, man, it was it was tough, and I'm low key like trying to hold off on like saying like this last part because I'm like, oh, it's very sensitive, but it was. Needless to say, it's like it showed me the people you think is going to be in your corner, even if they start out in your corner, it does not mean, child, that's how things are going to end. And when I stepped into that position, I lost a lot of things that I thought were real and a lot of people that I thought had accepted me. Another form of rejection doesn't just come from, it's not just about you not being enough. Another form of rejection that I've experienced is you too much.
Yeah.
you know and that's why I asked that question on y'all the last thing y'all did. Like, have you ever experienced jealousy or envy or anything from what you're actually good at? So here it is. I On one side, I experienced people telling me that I'm not enough, you can't sit with us, right? And then these people are saying you can't sit with us because you too much. You know what I'm saying? Or you, they don't like how they feel around me because of how they perceive me. You know what I'm saying? Like, who you think you are, that kind of feel. And so I just felt alone, like, damn, I'm not good enough for y'all, I'm not enough for y'all, and I'm too much for y'all. Where does that leave me? you know so
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. I felt alone when I was in a room full of people, surrounded by people, um, crowds, and I felt like nobody saw me. Like I'm talking to people, and I feel like they don't see me. They don't see who I
yeah.
really am.
And
And
I feel that way. I feel that way too. And some people will be like, how could you feel that way? Like, people, of course people see you, but it's like, no, no, you don't, because you you think you know what you're looking at. You have a perception. You know what I'm saying? It's like, um oh, she's a singer, or oh, she's this, or oh, she's popular. That's not seeing me, that's seeing status. You know what I'm saying? Or my gift. But seeing me is, I'm just like you, I'm a person just like you. I need the things that you need, the respect, love, and attention that you want. I need that too. You know what I'm saying? So, oof, yeah, I've felt that many times. Like, I don't feel like I'm seen. I feel like the gift is, but it's like, but me, the person, like, no.
yeah, no, and I feel like I had to. And sometimes I say this a lot, that people's perception is their truth, and my perception was that people people only saw me when I was not doing things for them, but when I was doing out the greatest things. Like I had to do so much to be recognized,
Yeah.
so much for somebody to pay attention to me. I always had to be going out of my way to do it, and sacrificing myself just to be noticed. And I know necessarily that's not always true. I'm talking to people and I know like the love is there. I'm just not feeling it. I don't know how to process it because I'm shielded. And so,
Yeah.
people who come into my life and do love me, I'm rejecting them because I'm scared of the people who are actually rejecting me. And so I'm closed off
Yeah.
in that way. And that was my truth, even though my perception, even though it may not have been true for everybody in my life, though it was the way I felt. And so I couldn't see anything past everybody is against me. Everybody doesn't like me. And there were people who were, sometimes the negativity speaks so much louder than the positivity,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
People can be in your corner saying, I love you, you're so great, you're doing awesome, thank you for this, blah, blah, blah. But what I hear the most is, I can't stand Brandon Davis. I can't stand him. And I remember I was talking to a student, and I told him one time, I think he brought it up, and I said back, like, Yeah, like Brandon Davis doesn't have a Brandon Davis. You know, like I can be
Mhm.
here for you all the time. You have Brandon Davis, but
Yeah.
when Brandon Davis goes home, there is no Brandon Davis for him.
Mhm.
There is nobody who Brandon Davis is talking to
Yeah.
about his life. I have to be doing all this for you. And I had a student like sit with me in a car one time, and I was just frustrated at work, and I just started crying. Like, listen, whew, listen, this is bad. So something's got to change. And he began to talk to me like, Brandon, you know, like you're really awesome. Like I don't know where you have this feeling from that you're not like, and I don't know why you feel like people don't care for you when everybody does. But I just had to come out of that. So let's quick because we've been on for an hour. Talk about how we get out of this and what people need to do, and who to talk to. For me, like I said, I did not do it the right way.
Mhm.
And if I could go back, it would have been a so much quicker if I had had the opportunity like you to talk to
Mhm.
somebody, to get that counseling.
Yeah.
But for me, I messed it up, and I took it on myself to kind of figure out how to do it. Thankfully, I will say that I am surrounded by loving people.
Mhm.
I am surrounded by people who have always spoke positivity in my life.
Mhm.
I didn't always hear it, but once I made that choice to say like, and it was a choice. This was not a a click. Like all of a sudden, I became undepressed. It was a choice to say, I gotta fight this. I gotta get up and do something.
Mhm.
And so I was just lucky to have those people who were in my life, and I also had to let people go. There were people in my life who didn't need to be in my life, who I was holding on
Period.
to that God was taking out of. And there was people that I I was able to see who they really were. You know,
Mhm.
people who were ride or die Brandon Davis, and then when I needed them, they weren't there. Right. And so people who had been in my life for years and I love. And so I was thankful, like, hey, listen, let me recognize these are the people, they gotta go. I got a distance from them. Yeah, no, I do love you. Yeah, send me a text though. You know, I can love you from over there. And I
Yeah.
told that to a few people. I can love you there. You don't have to be here for me to love you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can shut the door. You can go on with your life. Call me if you need me.
Period.
And I'll still love you, but you don't have to be
Mhm.
here in my life every day for that.
Yeah.
And so that was the things that I did, and then constantly motivating myself about like, I still keep a list of motivational videos because it still comes back. I'm not
Yeah.
done. It hasn't gone away completely. And so every once in a while, I still get up and I say, just before something goes wrong, let me tell myself something positive today. Let me look in the mirror and say, hey, Brandon, like you're doing really great. Like it's not as bad
Yeah.
as it seems. Life is really, really good. And start listing the accomplishments I have. No, Brandon, you've done this, you've done this, you've done this, you do this
Yeah.
really well. And no, I'm a bird and I can't swim, but I can fly. You
Yeah.
know, I can fly, and that's what I'm good at. And so I try to make sure that that's what's in my mind.
Listen. Yeah. I think that I think that community is extremely important. And the funny thing is, when you depressed, you're not gonna really want community. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And let me say this too: depression doesn't look one way. For some people, it's not. I can't get out of bed in the morning. For me,
yeah,
it wasn't that. Sometimes it was, but most times it was. I can't stop moving. You know what I'm saying? I'm booking my schedule up so that I don't sit down. Like that was how I knew I was depressed. That I didn't want a moment of stillness because I didn't want to feel what I was feeling. So community is important. Like the people you're around, people who care, people who care enough to say you lying, you not okay. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I've had people beat down my door because they had to. You know what I'm saying? Like I was so low. I was so low that they had to beat down my door. Put it like that. And I don't want to say you can't find that. You can find that. And when you find those people, you make sure you nurture those relationships because anybody who feels responsible for you, that is the simplest definition of love because they're not responsible for you. But if they feel responsible for you, it's such a godsend. And I had people who would do that for me. Counseling is important. You need to talk. That's the thing. You need to talk and you need to keep talking. A lot of times we get tired of hearing ourselves talk about the same thing. And so we'll say, well, I ain't talking about this no more. You may not be done talking about it, talking about how you feel. comes with different levels of honesty and clarity, and you need to keep talking about it until you don't have to. So therapy is very important. Side plug, which is why I created artist therapy,
Yeah.
because I know a lot of artists who are on drugs, and these are my friends. These are my friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, we went to school together, and you on drugs now. You know what I'm saying? They don't look like it. They don't look like it. Just like you looked okay, just like I looked okay, but they're on drugs. And so you need community. You need somebody to talk to. Period. Whether it's a therapist or just somebody you can literally talk to, and then you have to establish a sense of self. Meaning, you have to start to ground who you are, so grounded that when other people try to present you a different idea of who you want to be, you can push it away. And I realized that the reason why it was so easy for me to be rejected, it was so easy for my feelings to be hurt, was because I did not have a sense of self. I didn't know who I was. And so I thought people were right because I didn't know. And I guess that just comes with living. As you start living more, you start to say, no, I know myself. You know what I'm saying? But community is important. And the last thing I will say is fun. You need to have fun. Like, yeah, you want to do the serious work, you want to talk about it, cry it out, but you also want to bring that joy in because that makes everything feel lighter. So, yeah.
Genuine fun. I'm gonna go with that joy. Joy is what you need.
Yeah.
I was having fun, but it was fake. You know.
Right. Listen, yeah. You need
Uh,
that genuine fun. Yeah. Like, you
yeah.
ain't gotta go out and ball out. I've had the most fun doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like having a kickback, or having meaningful conversation with friends, or playing games. Just genuine, you know what I'm saying? A genuine moment where you're around people who really love you. Cause like you said, it sometimes it has a lot to do with the people who are around you. You don't feel loved on purpose because the love ain't around you. It ain't in your head. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a real feeling why you don't feel loved. It's not around. So
Yeah.
so
Oh,
yeah.
man. All right. So this is a deep conversation.
It
Um,
was.
it was way.
Whew.
I'm glad we talked about it though, because
I
like I
think
had
that
said, I had been struggling to. That was going to be my next podcast that I was going to talk about. But I have been struggling to get it out. I was just, and I'm still going to do. I'm going to go through on my podcast and just do my full kind of story. But
yeah.
I um I was so glad when you called. First of all, I was nervous when you said the topic, and I was like, I ain't
Oh
ready.
my
But
god.
I was I was glad, and I knew that was a sign. Like, okay, Brandon, you're struggling to talk about this, and this is it. This is the one.
Yeah.
This is the time where you need to kind of say what it is and put it out there. And I love to be pushed. God will push you so far,
Yeah.
and I just love that about Him. So, will you have the what was it again? Say the name of it.
So I have these sessions coming up. It's called Artist Sessions. It's every Monday.
Yeah,
And our upcoming session is Monday, May 11th. And our topic for this one is mental health and emotional health, of course. But yeah, specifically for artists, I've been getting so much good feedback. They like, yo, we needed this. I'm like, I know you needed it because I needed it. A place to talk, a place to learn, and to commune with other people just like you. So that's May 11th. The flyer is on my Facebook page and on Instagram. And of course, I'll be reposting it. But yeah, that's May 11th.
all right, I'm gonna put the flyer on mine too, and then you can catch mine. I'm gonna try to record that this week and get that out. My story on depression, um, so they can follow up with this one. I really want to thank. First of all, I was gonna thank all the people, but I want to stop. I want to thank Teeya Skipper so
Oh,
much, yo. When I say you are my favorite artist, I literally mean that. Like,
oh,
I watch you on YouTube all the time. I have your albums. Like, I love you. You are so awesome.
oh.
And I just appreciate knowing you. I appreciate God's gift in you. I appreciate being connected to you. Go
Can
ahead.
I'm sorry. I don't know how your time frame how it
No, we
works.
got plenty of time.
I just want to share this
Go ahead.
before, because you just triggered it when you said I love you. I got your albums. I got all of that. So this is the issue with rejection. So before I came to Central State, I applied to Central. They said that I didn't have enough money to come, so I wasn't gonna go. Right.
Yeah,
And I was living in Chicago. I was living with my boyfriend and his sister and her girlfriend. It was a house full of people, needless to say. And I had recorded this demo, and it was the first time I had ever recorded myself singing. These are the first songs I had ever written. Like it was my first. And I was so excited, like because I grew up very private, very guarded, as we discussed. I didn't share anything with nobody. So now I got this demo. I was so excited. I wanted to share it. This was the first, hear me, Brandon. This is the first time in my life I was sharing a part of myself because I was so excited. I shared the demo with my god sister at the time, and her girlfriend was there, and she was laughing at my one of the songs, the dearest song to me, which is called Beyond the Stars. It's about depression. She started laughing, and she was like, "Is that song of Beyond the Stars about the moon or something?" Like cracking jokes. And when I tell you, it crushed my spirit because, like I said, I had never shared. It crushed my spirit, and I remember going in the room thinking like, and when I went in the room, I didn't attack her. I attacked myself. I went in the room and I was like, "What would make me think I could do that? You know, what would make me think I could write these songs, or what would make me think it was good? Why did I even think it was good?" And so when that happened, I took that demo and all I did was listen to it myself. I didn't let nobody else hear it outside of my family. When I got to Central State, um, I had the demo on my laptop. And this is when I was starting to meet people, but I was still kind of very guarded. And you know Jamia Skinner.
Yep.
She started coming around a lot, and I was doing my best to push this girl away. I'm like, why you keep coming around me? Like, are you gay or something? Like, I mean, I was rude. And, um, and so she kept coming around. And one day she was in my room, and my music was playing. It was on auto. My library was on auto. And she was like, "What's this?" And I almost broke the bed trying to dive on the laptop to close it so it could cut off. Because again, remember, I'm thinking, this is terrible. I can't let
Yeah.
anybody else hear it. You know, I was scared that she heard that a little bit because of shame. And she was like, "Who is that?" I was like, "Nobody." You know, she was like, "That was dope." I was like, "No, it wasn't." I kept trying to change the subject so bad. Um, and so we finally talked about it, and I told her what happened. I just want to listen to it. I'm not putting it out or nothing. It's not real. You know, I was like, "It's not real. It's just mine." And she was like, "What do you mean? Is this yours?" She was like, "People need to hear this." I was like, "No." And I was like, "I'm not." And I was adamant, like, "I'm not sharing it." I don't know how this girl ripped the music off my laptop. She literally went around Central State campus and was playing my songs for everybody. And next thing I knew, now I went from washing my clothes in the sink in Anderson because I didn't have no money, to the next day, people asking me how can they buy my demo. And I was like, "What are you talking about?" Truly oblivious. And they was like, "We want the song." And the funniest thing is, the song that the girl was making fun of was the very song that people kept requesting. They kept calling my demo Beyond the Stars. So that just made me think of that. Like, again, that was rejection. And so I hid that. And I thank God for finding a way to bring it back out in the open because that's what people needed. And I feel like that's why I feel like, and I want to say this to you, you got to know that your spot is out in the open if the very thing that's up against you is rejection. You know what I mean? If
Yeah.
you weren't going to be seen, Brandon, the tool against you wouldn't be rejection. You feel me? The rejection is the hopes that you won't face that, so you will stay in the shadows, and so that you will only do certain things and people won't know you fully. And I've had testimonials out of the yin yang from that album. That album has paid. It's an EP. It's a demo. It wasn't mixed. Nothing. It was just dry vocals. And that demo ended up being how I was eating, how I was paying for clothes, how all of that at Central State. I had people buying it and sending it home. And that's respect because people could have bought it and burned it and gave it to somebody else. They were buying more copies so that they could send it home. But
Yeah.
the devil was telling me that it wasn't good enough. And it wasn't true. So I got hit with the rejection so that this thing that was so valuable and that was going to change lives so that I would hide it. And I did hide it, but God has the last say so. And that's why I still got released. So I just want to say that to you. Like, I know how you defined your life, and you say like, I like to be in the background, but I feel like that's your story. You know what I'm saying? That you came up with that. I don't think that that's true to form. Anybody who knows you or knows your personality, they would say, no, you are the party. They would say, no, you're not. Why would you be in the background? People wouldn't get to hear the jokes. They wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, they wouldn't get
Yeah.
the experience to laugh. They wouldn't get the kiki, like, I never looked at you as a background person. I saw you as a boss. You know what I'm saying? Like, you make things happen. That was my snapshot idea of you. Very simple and plain. But I think you came up with like to be in the background. Even if you do like to do those things, I still think you created that storyboard. But I do not. I know for a fact if your giant is rejection, it's because you are meant to be seen. You
Yeah.
know. So yeah, I just wanted to share that because now I got people literally all over the world. I got people from Brazil messaging me, like in different countries, talking about they listen to my music, and they would have never heard the latter music if the first didn't come out. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So the very thing I was ashamed of, people keep telling me they love. That blows my mind every time because I thought it wasn't good enough. So you done messed up my makeup, but it's fine.
That's so funny. No, that's wild that you say that. No, I have always viewed myself as, not the person who needs to be the center of attention, the person who needs to be in the background, and I kind of, make other people shine, and that's been my role. Like, you know, I make other people look good, but I don't step in the light. Like, it's not my role to step in the light, or to
But
be
that's
seen.
assuming that other people don't see you. Like, you don't get to decide what the spotlight is. People decide it because they're putting the light on you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you don't decide where the spotlight is. You think, oh, because this person's name is on the program, they're the spotlight. No, I ain't gonna even get messy, but you know how many shows I've been on, and it wasn't my show, but it ended up being my show. You
Yeah.
feel what I'm saying? Because people's attention on that. When I competed for Miss CSU in Atlanta, do you know how funny it was that by the time when we did the talent portion, it was other people, schools, clapping and cheering for me. Y'all not even supposed to be clapping. Your miss is not up. She's not even up here. You feel what I'm saying? So you don't get to decide who the spotlight is on. We come up with that kind of control. You know what I'm saying? Because we're trying to protect ourselves. But yeah, I disagree. I don't think that even if you don't need the spotlight, it's not about you needing it. If you have a lot to offer, people should know who you are. That's simple and plain.
I hear you.
Period.
I definitely respect it, and I believe what you're saying.
I
It's
mean, it's gonna happen anyway. So
it is. It's a difficult thing uh, for me to be seen, and it comes from, like we said earlier, me building my life around not wanting to be rejected.
yeah.
That I make sure that I'm not necessarily seen. Because this was a stretch. Like when you said, Brandon, why aren't you doing a podcast? Of course you're doing a podcast. And I was like, like this is me
No, for me, I was
pushing.
like, of course, I'm not shocked that you're doing a podcast. I'm like, yes, you should have been did a podcast. In my opinion, it's like, of course. I'm like, I know this podcast is lit. Like,
This is me pushing myself to the limit, doing stuff that I know I'm not necessarily comfortable with. Because normally I would set this up, but I'd let you do it. Like,
but you're funny. You're good in conversation, though. Like, that's what's so funny.
I don't always see that about myself. I don't think that, and again, it comes from that rejection, but I don't always see the truth about myself. I always see the image of me that I have painted, um,
Mm-hmm.
and the way I see myself, and the people who I let control my reflection. I did a whole podcast on it. So there's people out there who I've
So,
let
yeah.
control.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Control my view of myself. And so if
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at them, if they think I'm ugly, then I think I'm ugly because that's all I know.
Been
Uh,
there. Yeah.
yeah. And so that's it. And I am learning and working on, not trying to be that person, and working on what my strengths are and what I should be doing, and putting myself out of there, and getting out of my comfort zone, to do more things. But yeah, no, it's a struggle. You would not see me on stage anywhere. You would see me in the back.
I could see you on radio. I really could. From conversations we've had, I've laughed. Like I've
You,
kiki. Like you're
you see
hilarious.
me like in a crowd, I'm usually pretty quiet. Like with you, I would be comfortable with you. So like we would be talking. But normally, like if you brought in people I didn't know, I would shut down immediately.
Yeah, same here. Listen, they're like, she is so standoffish. Whatever. I don't know you. I don't know you.
I don't
I'm
know
really
you.
shy, but you know what? It's like it comes off as being standoffish, but I'm really shy.
Yeah,
In places that I don't, you know what I'm saying? It comes off different, but I'm just nervous. I don't know you. Like,
yeah. I don't know what to expect, and I'm real cautious when we talked about building your. And this is something recent in my life, at least the 5 years. I am real cautious of who I let in my circle now. I'm real protective of that
yeah,
because I know, like, I can go into depression, and I know the things that I struggle with. So I can only be surrounded by certain types of people.
yeah,
If you
got
got
it.
too much negative energy, I'm gonna be gone real
Yeah.
quick, and I don't want nothing to do with you. I call it my team in my head. I don't call it said it out loud, but in my head, I'm like,
Look
listen,
at,
this is my team. All
yeah.
right, these are my supporters. These are the people who I can rock with. These are people who I can call on. Anybody outside of that team, let's you gonna have to work for your spot. Like you gotta
Yeah.
earn that. You
Come
gotta earn
on.
that.
Listen.
I love everybody, but I know for my sanity to keep my mind right, I have to make sure that I'm surrounded by people who have my best interests at heart, who
Period.
love me, and I can count on. I have to look for the roots and not the branches. The
Come
branches.
on. No,
I,
that's right.
I try not to be spiritual, but the branches people step on them and they fall with too
Yeah.
much weight. I don't need people in my life like that. I need people who, regardless of what I'm going through, are by my side.
Come on, somebody. Listen. I get it. Same here.
Definitely. All right, so we're gonna say goodbye. I just be like, all right, yeah.
Wait, what?
That's,
I didn't even see people was commenting. That's
yes,
so
people have been commenting the whole time, especially on
really.
Facebook. Yeah, I tried to put some up there because I saw you didn't see them, but like
Cassandra, I
Sheila's
love
in here,
you.
everybody's in
Listen,
there.
listen, can I do some shout outs right quick before I go?
Go ahead.
Shout out to Cassandra Crawl. I love you so freaking much. If you are still on here, I'm probably finna cry again. You literally, uh, you became something I didn't even know I needed. And I'm so grateful for you. Like, I was on my toes because you was on my ass. And because you were. And I just like that was so admirable and inspiring. And you such a boss. And I just listen. I'm like, look, I gotta get it done because I like you have my back. Like, oh, I didn't know you was that ride or die. Like, shout out to Chris if he's still on here, my mister. You know I love you. Chris had my back too. Shout out to Stephanie Craw, the leader of all leaders. You better. That's on here. Shout out to Keita, my BF. I love you, girl. Who else? I didn't even get to read. Can I go back and read these comments?
Yeah, you can scroll up.
Y'all said hold it
Scroll
together.
up. We've on there the whole time.
I did not know that. Oh, that's crazy. They were being transparent, sharing your story. Oh, the guy. It's okay, PD. Let it out. Your transparent space, daddy. Y'all still love it enough. It's okay, we name is real. That's good. We love you. Oh, why not be you? Yes, that was Chris and us.
They so fine.
Oh,
Let me tell you how
I'm so
something.
late on this rewind. I can't believe this. We almost jumped her. Oh, that's hilarious. Yes, y'all did. Because people confuse leadership that actually had influence with leadership that was just a title. Come on, Chris. I know I liked you. We we are such a beautiful. Oh, thank you. You've been rocking with her for a while. Thank you. Wow, that's good. That's T. That's strong. That's so dope. Teeya. Oh, Teeya, you are a phenomenal young woman. Thank you. It was a pleasure getting to know you at that time. You taught me a lot, and I appreciate who you are. Even though that was a rough time for you, you held your head high in the toughest times. It was a privilege working with you. You helped me grow. Even the way she writes, it's just like you can do no wrong. You can do no wrong. That was such a great email. Even if she just sent that in an email, that would have been so great. Oh, It's a choice. Yes, Brenda Davis, you are amazing. Did you read that? I adore your loyalty, honesty, friendship, and messiness. I do too. You know the cross love you. Yes. This is so good. I will knock down a whole house and neighborhood for you, Brandon Davis. That's what I'm talking about. You gotta
They
have your
soft.
listen. Oh, this I remember from an episode you said to check you on this topic. Dope. Yes, she did that in ATL. Super proud. Oh, thank you. Stepping outside your comfort zone is wonderful. Come on, pitch, pitch. Okay. Whew, okay, I caught up. That was so good. That just really encouraged me because it's like sometimes you could feel by yourself and then you realize like you got some real like tree stumpers in your corner. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Professional and ratchet. Like clean, look, above board and we'll get you together. You understand me? That's my perfect cup of tea. What?
absolutely. You gotta have those people who not afraid to tell you what it is,
Yeah.
but also are good to rub your back when you need it. You know?
Yes. A good old church rug.
Yeah. I used to always tell people Stephanie Craw. Stephanie Craw doesn't like come for me like that, but she would always say my name in a certain way if I knew I was acting right. Like I'd call her, she'd be like,
I
Brandon
can hear
Davis,
it. I can hear
Brandon Davis. Okay, I'm getting out of hand. Let me chill. Um,
Yes. Love
but
it.
that's what you need. You need those people to definitely do that. And I definitely have a great support system. And you
Yeah.
don't always realize that you have it, but it's there.
When you remember, you'd be like, oh, thank you, Lord. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
good times out there.
Oh,
This
baby. This was really good. I
was
feel
really good. So
was.
we got to continue the conversation. So if you're watching, please, please, please go to Tia's page. I am going to put that up for you guys real quick, and you guys can follow her on her Instagram page. Check it out, and
Yeah.
she has her event coming up. And then I have my podcast that I will try to put out this week for you guys, just so we can keep this conversation going. Go on our Twitter pages, go on our Instagram pages, make comments, tell us how you felt. If you want to continue this conversation, please hit
Yes.
me up. I will chat with you about everything. I'm trying to live this open and honest life right now. So,
Yes.
uh,
Open eyes.
part of my therapy, my self therapy, is being open and honest and talking about things that are hard to talk about and sharing my testimony. So, we'll definitely do that as well. Any final thing?
No, I don't think so. Because I feel like it'll trigger a whole nother conversation. So May 11th is artist therapy. The link is on my page if you love to join.
That's going to be dope.
Yes.
All right, Tia.
All right.
See you guys.